So today we're just briefly talking about what we can expect for our exam, which is next Thursday. The exam is obviously going to be conducted electronically. So I'm going to give to you guys an exam file on eCampus. You'll have the class period next Thursday to complete the exam, and you'll be submitting your exam on eCampus, the exact same place where you find it. So they'll be setting up like an assignment on eCampus. So you'll be downloading the instructions, and then you'll be uploading your results to eCampus. The instructions are going to be in a Word document, and then you can manipulate that Word document any way you want. If you want to print it, write on it, scan it, and submit it, that's fine with me. If you want to type in it or use a pencil or use your finger to draw on it, absolutely fine. If you want to draw pictures in Lucidchart and then copy and paste them, or take pictures of them using the snipping tool, something like that, and drop them into the Word document, also fine. I don't care how you get me the answers to the questions on the exam, provided you answer all the questions to the exam and submit the answers to those questions on eCampus. I would think about how you're going to do it and practice how you're going to do it between now and next Thursday, so that you're comfortable with dropping information into a Word document and getting that information to me. If you wait until Thursday and then think, I don't know how to get stuff from Lucidchart into Word, that's your mistake, not my mistake. So I'm telling you ahead of time, you're gonna have a Word document that has all the instructions, and you're gonna have to answer questions about the material in this class in that Word document, and then submit that Word document on eCampus for me to grade. So figure out how you're gonna do it. Try a variety of different things. Doesn't matter to me. As long as you are getting the answers to me, I'm gonna be happy, okay? In terms of what kinds of questions to expect. Well, first, in terms of what kinds of resources you're allowed to use during the exam. Since this is going to be something you're conducting at home, you are welcome to use any of your own personal resources. So any notes you've taken in class, you're welcome to use. Anything you've done in the workbooks, you are absolutely welcome to use. If you've done additional work, you are welcome to use any of that material. Any of the material I've provided to you, PowerPoint slides, YouTube videos, any of that stuff is absolutely fair game. The only thing you're not allowed to do is go out and find additional resources online or communicate with other people. So basically anything you've kind of set up ahead of time for the exam that you've done or that I've provided, that's fair game. But during the exam, you can't call somebody and say, hey, how does this work? You can't go Google things, not that that would help. You can't go find things online. You certainly can't collaborate with anybody else in the classroom. This feels like common sense to me, but if you are not at all certain about something, please before the exam check in with me and say, hey, this is what I was planning. Is that going to be okay? And I will let you know yes or no as far as what you're allowed to do for the exam. But I feel like that's common sense in terms of what to expect. Can I see some head nods? Does this make sense in terms of what to do? Yeah, okay. There's no mysteries here, right? I'm not trying to trick you, and I'm not trying to over limit you in terms of your resources. There should be no reason why you should have to Google anything. We've talked about a lot of these topics in great detail. So if you've been coming to class on the regular, and most of you have, I don't think that there are going to be any mysteries on the exam for sure, okay? So in terms of the material on the exam, it's everything we've discussed so far this semester. The big ticket items would be drawing our conceptual ERDs and making sure we get all the symbology correct, and then moving on to our relational schemas. So you are responsible for being able to either draw an ERD or a relational schema, or interpret an ERD or a relational schema. So go either direction. I could give you something very similar to a workbook problem, a description, and say, please draw the ERD for this. And you'd have to draw entities, you'd have to draw the relationships, you'd have to draw associative entities if necessary. You may or may not be required to fill in all of the ovals with all the various attributes. You probably have to identify what is a primary key for a particular table, right? Or it could go the other way. I could give you a diagram and you would then have to tell me what's going on in that diagram. So you'd have to describe what you're actually seeing in the picture. And then on the second side of that, we've done these relational schemas. So I might give you either a problem description or an ERD, and you'll have to translate one or both of those things to a relational schema, or the other way around. I could give you a relational schema and you have to interpret that for me and write up exactly what that relational schema represents. Fair enough. I could certainly also ask you to define some of the topics we've discussed in class. I wouldn't expect many questions like that. So given that it is an open book, open notes in terms of your personal resources kind of exam, asking you to just regurgitate terminology is probably not my focus. But could I ask you in your own words to describe some core concept that we've discussed so far this semester? Of course I could. So there might be some short answer opportunities where above and beyond just a model, I might ask you some questions about what it means when we're dealing with a particular topic. So as an example, this one's an easy one, but like, what does an entity represent in an ERD? You have to write up what you think an entity represents. It's probably too easy. And it's also, again, kind of just asking you to regurgitate a definition. So probably not something like that, but that's fair game. I can't ask those kinds of questions. I would anticipate, I don't know, probably 3, 4 of the bigger picture questions, could be 5 or 6. And I would expect maybe a half dozen, some smaller questions as well, where you're comparing something, you're interpreting something. I have not completed the exam. I'm not even close to that yet. So I don't know exactly what the format will be, but I'd expect a mix match of some larger questions and some smaller questions. And I would certainly expect a good mix and match of drawing pictures and then typing or writing up descriptions of what pictures are actually doing, whether you're describing your own picture or you're describing my picture. I'd expect a mix and match of typing up some text and then drawing some pictures. If you are surprised by anything that I am saying today, I'm confused, because this should be exactly what you would expect for this first exam, given what we've been doing for the last month and a half. So this should not be at all surprising or a mystery to anybody, but this is what we're going to be doing for our exam next Thursday. Can I answer any questions from anyone about what to expect for the exam or any of the particular material we've covered so far?
If we just study like you expect us to, should we feel that there's a time crunch for this exam, or should we feel comfortable having the amount of time to do it and submit it properly?
I am always hesitant to judge how quickly students can do things. I have never, ever given an exam that I thought would take more than 50% of the allotted time. And I have students that freak out on half of my exams because they don't have enough time. So I don't know, I'm not a good judge of time. I always think of time as a surrogate for competency. I tend to believe that if you're really good at something, you tend to finish it a little bit faster. But that is not true for everyone, right? Some students just work more methodically and more carefully than others, and it takes them a little bit longer. So all that said, I'm certainly not trying to design an exam that takes up 95% of your time in order to get an A. I'm designing an exam so it should be something that you can finish in 50, 60, 70% of the time if you really know what you're doing. And then there's some buffer area for the students that are more of a B or a C type student, where they've got some time to think about it and struggle with it and try to figure things out. That's always my operating principle for designing exams. There will be students that struggle with the exam and will take the entire time. There will be students that finish it in a fraction of the time and feel comfortable with it. There's just gonna be a good range of how much time it takes for everyone, for certain. What else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So looking at some of the original workbook problems that we did, like those first few, I know you mentioned at some point that we don't have to add every single attribute. So I was just wondering what you wanted to see in terms of that on the
I would
test.
want you to follow the instructions on the exam specifically. So there may be some questions where it says, please make sure you include every attribute. Well, then I'm going to grade you based on whether you include every attribute or not. There may be some others that say, the only attributes I need to see are things like primary or foreign key type fields, in which case, of course, just follow those instructions. If there are not clear instructions, then my suggestion would be that you fill in the attributes that are critical to the structure of the table, or message me and say, hey, there are not clear instructions as far as what to do here. But I would expect that the exam will spell out what I would want in terms of the level of detail for any of these diagrams. Generally speaking, we're trying to accomplish one of two things with these diagrams. Either we're trying to do a completionist diagram, where we really do have every single oval to really describe every single thing that's going on, or we're trying to describe the basic structure between the entities and the relationships between those entities And as a consequence, the number of ovals is limited. So it's usually kind of a all or nothing sort of thing, or all or minimal sort of thing. But if the instructions are not clear, please let me know. And if the instructions aren't clear, I would err on the side of caution and put a lot of stuff in there, right? Just to be on the safe side. That's how I'd approach it. Other questions? Everybody is going to get an A on this exam. You can see the confidence radiating from your beautiful, beautiful videoed faces. Yes? Maybe. I know I've talked to a bunch of you that have done check-ins in the last week or two, and it feels like as we've worked through the workbook, this stuff is starting to click and it's starting to make sense for a lot of you. So I have high hopes that people will do well in the exam. I think that all joking aside, that the people I've been talking to on a regular basis stand a good chance of having a good experience on the exam. So fingers crossed that's going to be the case. Anything else I can help with? In terms of my schedule moving forward, office hours today are completely booked. Office hours on Monday look like I have a few slots still available. I'd expect they fill up pretty quickly. Since Tuesday is actually an A&M holiday, I'm not going to be available for office hours, but I'll be checking my email. It's not like I can escape my computer like the rest of us. We can't escape our computers. So I'll be checking if anything comes up. I will have normal office hours on Wednesday. And then of course we have our exam on Thursday. So if you do have any questions between now and then, and you can schedule a Calendly meeting, please feel free. If you can't find a Calendly meeting, shoot me an email and I'll try to answer your question by email. If for some reason I can't, then maybe I'll schedule something outside of normal hours and we can get together and talk about it. But I anticipate that at this point, most of you will have simple questions that can be answered by email. So try that first. It's probably your best bet. Okay. Anything else right now? Are we good? If you think of something, reach out to me. Okay. Thank you all. We'll keep it short today, and I will see everyone at minimum in a week. Good luck studying. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.